Tymm in Washington. Tymm, what's up?
Hey, Tymm.
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing really good, Tymm. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for me. So
Cool. I hear an audio source in the background. If you could mute that for us, that'd be great. But yeah, tell me what's up. Tell me what's going on.
I was just calling. I called last week, and my phone kind of messed up on me, so I had to hang up and all of that. But I wanted to talk about when I was a fundamentalist Christian and was a ex-gay minister, and we used to hold coming out of homosexuality day rallies.
Oh, I remember this. Yes. I was watching in the chat. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm so excited to talk about this, man.
I saw this, so I have a little thing that tells me who's calling in and what they want to call about. I saw this in the call log, and I was so sad when your call dropped and we didn't get to you, because I was like, what is that guy's story about? So yes, please.
I'm so glad you called this.
Tell me about this, man, because I have no idea what that's like.
Yeah.
First of all, it was really strange being a fundamentalist Pentecostal Christian who was gay and then suddenly was told to go straight because God wanted me to be straight, and that he would change me and that he could change others, and that suddenly I found myself as a minister and being a part of these rallies in Seattle, and saying, you can change, God can change you. And, that doesn't work.
Well, do you think that you were,
here to say,
do you think that even though, did you think you were happier, than you were before when you, became straight? Or do you think, it just made things worse? Obviously you've changed.
Worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because having to pretend to be something you're not.
It was absolutely miserable, and I'm suffering from PTSD, partly because of that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Even now, and because I had to pretend that I was in love with my ex-wife, and I had to pretend that God was changing me, and it doesn't happen, and it makes me so sad when I hear all these stories about how happy people are, and it's like, well, you might be bi, which makes you happy, and that's okay, but don't tell a gay guy that he's going to go straight, because that's just not what happens. You can change your behavior, but you can't change your orientation.
100%, I agree with you.
Tymm,
absolutely.
I was this was months ago, but I was having a conversation with a pastor friend I know. And we were talking about this phenomenon of the ex-gay ministries and stuff like that. And we were talking about one guy in particular, this guy who claimed that he was gay and then he got healed and stuff. And this pastor asked me a question. He's like, "Are you saying that this guy is a liar and that he's just conned all these people in this story and stuff?" And it's hard for me to say that the guy is actively lying. I'm not sure if it's a lying thing. It almost seems like a confused kind of thing. Or, what is your take? Because you've been in that world. I've not been in that world. Are there people who lie about these experiences? Are there people who you think just are misunderstanding things? Or what do you think the majority of cases are like that?
I can only talk about myself in that respect. And I was flat out lying. I was married, and for the last, 3-4 years of my marriage, I was stepping out, and I was having NSA trysts with guys every chance I could get. I was just flat out lying, and it's not something to be proud of. It's just what happened.
Yeah.
And so I can only talk about myself. I was lying. I wasn't confused. I wasn't brainwashed or anything. I was lying because I thought I needed to. And that's all I can say. I don't know about these other guys. And like I said, maybe some of them are bi and they just chose to suppress the attractions to men in order to live their lives for God.
Let me tell you something, Tim. Suppressing an attraction for someone kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
Jim
I'm sure that like you've been there, obviously, because you had to pretend you were straight for a really long time. Tim, let me ask you: did you ever go through like conversion therapy or anything like that? What led you to basically go straight?
It was mainly just all my own work. I did have pastors that helped me. When I first started with ExMinister, they gave me the tools to use. I went through the Living Waters program that was written by Andrew Comiskey. He was a member of the Exodus International, and he wrote the Living Waters and gave us all tools. If you're walking around in the summertime and you find yourself being attracted to the shirtless men, then start singing some hymns or pray to God or,
Oh my gosh.
all of that. It was some bizarre stuff.
Wow.
And, reparative therapy to a certain degree, but not so much as like, gay camp or anything that some of these teenagers even today are forced to be a part of.
See, there's a thing where we were talking about High Girl about like what we would ban, what we wouldn't ban, and that's interesting because if I made the point, and I have to concede my own point here that I said that religion does help people and bring value to you, but if you're lying to yourself, because I know when I was a Christian, I also lied to people about how good my religion was doing for me. Like,
me too. Yeah.
And so,
absolutely.
Like that's another element to it too. But because there have been these gay conversion therapies have been banned in certain places. I think it was like Maryland. It was banned somewhere and stuff.
Yeah.
And like there's been actions to. I know in Canada there was places too, if not everywhere. And
yes, we here in Washington have also banned.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so like that's one of those things where it's like, I would agree with not making it happen because I only see harm come out of that. I don't really see as much good. And it sounds like the people who say they got good were lying. Like, and you keep having these stories of people coming out, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I was always told that, I was going to bring down the wrath of God if I stepped into being gay, and that I was going to be disease-ridden and everything. And just as a side note, I've gotten all of my blood work back. I just recently got tested, and I'm negative for just about everything.
Oh, good.
And as a 54-year-old, I even have normal cholesterol, and my liver and kidneys are functioning normal. So God isn't punishing me health-wise anyway.
Yeah. That sucks that it sounds like fear was a real part of keeping you doing what you were doing, be it social or like supernatural. I know I felt fear too, but I can't imagine what it was like for you, because that's such a core part of who you are, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's what the church does anyway. I mean, how often have we all heard the fear of God? And, the church tends to play upon all of our fears. My fear was that I was going to become HIV positive and die of AIDS and die of this horrible, debilitating disease. And, they play to fear. That's its very nature, really.
Yeah. I remember Christy and I actually watched the movie Dallas Buyers Club a few months ago. And I had known the stories of that time of the 80s and 90s when this stuff was at an epidemic, when we're talking about AIDS and stuff like that. But it was so hard to see that played out, even just as an acting form, because it's like, wow, these were the lives of people that really were being harassed on all fronts, that like they weren't being accepted by even the closest people in their family and stuff like that. And the fact that still goes on today is just, it breaks my heart. And like organizations like the Exodus International, is that what it's called? Yeah, Exodus International. That are still around, that are still kind of perpetuating that fear. Just like, that's so frustrating. I wish there was more we could do. I mean, what's your opinion on this, Tim? Is there more we as the rest of us could do about this kind of stuff, or what do you suggest?
My suggestion is, first of all, we need to continue to make the LGBTQ community, or as our friend Jimmy, Mr. Atheist, says, the GRSM community. We need to normalize ourselves. We need to say we are out and we are people, and we are willing to be an active, vital part of our communities. And we need to stop things like the NIFB from doing Make America Straight Again, or the Boston Straight Pride Parade. We need to stop those things because heterosexuality is already normative. We already know that. We already know that there are white straight boys out there that have it easy. But you know, our pride is all about the fact that we've made strides after decades, if not hundreds of years, of being thrown into the fringe of society and forced into the closet.
Yeah.
So really, we just need to continue where we're heading and become accepted, normative members of our society.
And you know, like, I even hear the state people like, oh, well, you know, gay people can get married today. Like, they don't have it as hard anymore, and all this kind of like BS. It's just like, man, like, look, I get it. It's cheesy sometimes when some corporation changes their logo to like a rainbow color, right? But like, that's really meaningful to a lot of people, and just to stand in solidarity with people who have been outcasted and who have rejected that. I know, as at least as an atheist, that puts me in just the one minority camp, and my experiences with that coming out and stuff are bad enough. Adding on to the fact that being LGBT, that just doubles it, if not more so, right? And I agree with you, Tim. It's got to be something where we just continue to see that we fight for what's right. And if you are going to that rally, by the way, please do be careful. We're talking about the one, the counter protests and stuff for the Make America Straight Again stuff that's happening. Yeah, Tim, I just gotta say thanks so much for. Oh,
I got
Christy
a
had
question for
something.
Tim.
Yeah, go for it, Christy.
Before you hang up.
Yeah.
So Tim, I'm gonna make this conversation a little bit longer than Dan probably expected. But I'm from the South. I'm from Alabama.
Yeah.
And I see that you're from Washington. So what is the environment like up in Washington? Are people more accepting of you? You know, are there a lot more? Can you be as open as you would like to be, or are people kind of not?
Well, we're in the Pacific Northwest, so Oregon, Washington, Northern California, not so much Idaho, but we are gratefully more accepted than, say, in Alabama or Mississippi. We have Seattle, we have Portland, very, very open and welcoming, huge cities, and I grew up in a very small town. I call it North Arkansas. But even my little town of Longview is much more accepting than I hear stories in the from the South. So we are a very accepting state, and we were, I think, number 14 to vote in marriage equality, and actually our entire state voted it in. It wasn't something that was done via the courts or via legislation. It was literally voted in 2 years before the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you have a community and you have a place to be where you can be that as open as you are, and you can be yourself, because where I'm from, I kind of have to be careful about it.
Yeah.
Because in Alabama, it's still illegal to fire someone for being gay.
Yeah, although...
Or it is still legal, sorry.
Yeah, although I've heard Supreme Court decisions recently making changes to that, though.
Yes.
Yeah, which is great.
But statewide.
Yeah, and also, Tim, I'm glad you have a call-in show community that you can call into as well. Thanks again for calling in, man.
For sure. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah. Can't wait to
All
hear
right.
from you again.
All right. Looking forward to it.
See you,
All
bud.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim has called into the show before,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just shocked the first time I heard his story. And he's in the pagan world now. That's
Yeah,
kind of how
neat.
where he's kind of ended up, which is interesting in itself. But just like being in the X game ministry thing is its own subculture, is its own thing that not a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know I was not, even as an atheist, it's foreign to me in a lot of ways, only because it only involves a certain group of people going through certain experiences and stuff like that, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This is the part where you add commentary to what I'm saying, Christy. I don't know if you've ever been on one of these kinds of shows before, but that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
Come on, I'm being funny. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, no.